Unfortunately, really not happy with how this came out. So we got to redo it. What's going on, everybody? We're back out in the shop. I didn't get out here as much as I wanted to this week, but we did get everything cleaned up. We got everything final welded up front. Everything's cut out, boxed. It came out great. Very happy with everything. We ground everything down, smoothed it all out. Got the whole front K-member finally complete, 100%. And so that's just primer. So what I'm gonna do tonight is get this thing up in the air. We're gonna scuff the frame and get the first coat of paint on it. Well, that was fun. No, not fun. But got the frame all scuffed up. We have some paint prep spray, just a cleaning agent. I'm gonna take and blow the whole entire frame off, make sure all the grit and sand and everything else is out of it and off of it. We'll wipe it down with this. We'll get to painting. Oh, I figured I'd show you this too. This is what we're using, which is 2K Aero Spray Chassis Black. This is a 2-component catalyzed technology, most durable aerosol paint available, sprays like a paint gun. We'll see about that. But anyway, so what you do is you shake this up for 2 minutes. Then you take this red cap off and you put it on the bottom and push it down, and that activates the 2 components in it to mix together. And then the can's good for, I believe, like 24 hours, 48 hours. So you got to basically use it, and whatever doesn't get used, you throw out. All right, 1 can down. I got probably a third of the frame done. So you're gonna need probably 3 cans to do a full first coat. The second coat should be a little bit thinner. This spray's a little awkward. It's not like a regular spray paint. I thought being like really durable chassis paint, it would be thick, but you actually gotta move slower with it and cut it, fan itself on there. It's a little bit of a learning curve with this. I've never used it before, but it's going on nice. So shake up another can. Well, I lost some footage, and I'm not sure how, but throwing this clip in because the frame ended up with this really weird gray color to it, and I was really unhappy with it. So I don't know what went wrong. I don't think anything went wrong. My prep was good, and everything looked great. It laid down nice. We got 2 heavy coats on it. So I'm not sure what went wrong, but it might just be the nature of that paint. But it wasn't like nice gloss black. It was more of a grayish tinge to it. I guess in the resto mod type world, it probably is like a frame color. It was black in some light, but when the brighter lights hit it, it was like a grayish color. Did not like it. So I ended up scuffing the frame and repainting the whole thing with another Eastwood chassis black, but just a different type. And that came out awesome, and I will show you that at the end of the video. We are back at it. So I got another coat of paint on the frame. I'll let that dry a little bit before I show you guys. So what we're gonna be doing now is working on the 9-inch. So over here on the table, these are all our wheel studs. We're gonna save those for later. We gotta do our 2 seals. These guys go in there. And for those, we have a 1" and 11/16 socket. It's just smaller than the outside edge of this. So hammer and sockets to set those in. We'll put a little tiny bit of moly grease on it just so that it goes in nice. Seals up the edges. Got our axle shafts. We got our lube locker here. Here's all our third member studs. So we got to screw these in. And here's our third member. This is a Quick Performance aluminum center section with a 370 gear and a spool. So 370 gear, I don't know exactly where this truck's gonna fit in, but I would love to run 530 Little Gangster class with it, but I definitely want to go faster than that. So 370 gear should be perfect for 1/8 mile and 1/4 mile for starting out, and then I can decide which direction I really want to go. And if I want to run 1/4 mile primarily in prep tracks, then I'll probably go to a 350 gear setup in that, maybe even taller. Otherwise, that 370 was like a do-all. Or we'll get another third member and we'll have 2 setups. Who knows? We're gonna figure it out though. But anyways, first things first, I'm gonna get this axle blown out. I'm gonna take some air, clean this whole thing out, and then I'll wipe it down with brake clean and a rag. And then we can start getting the studs in there, get the third member in place, and all that good stuff. I just realized my mic wasn't on for that whole last skit, so if that one sucks when I go back to edit, you'll get this version. I was just saying that we got to get our third member studs in, which are here. Then we can install the third member. We got a lube locker gasket. I'm still going to put a little gasket maker on it anyway. I think just being a little extra cautious. Get the third member installed. Once the third member's in, we can pop these couple axle seals in that are right here. And then we can start setting the axles in. First, we got to clean this thing out. Blow the tubes out. I'm going to spray it down with some brake clean, wipe it down, blow it out again. This way there's nothing in there. So that's good. Just like that, all the studs are in. We're just going to snug these up. You don't have to go super crazy with these. Just snug them up good. So this drops on here. So I believe that goes just like that, I'm guessing, because that fits more better. Let's see what it looks like on the third member. Make sure everything lines up. And even the aluminum ones weigh a ton. Now, this goes like this, I'm assuming. Where's the holes? Just like that. And that clears the teeth on both sides. So this thing goes on just like, oh God, I dropped it. Now I gotta clean it. We'll wipe that off before we install it. Now, which way did I have this thing? It doesn't fit as nice that way. It fits more better this way. There we go. Yep. Goes just like that. Look at that. Drops right on there. Perfect. All right, so we got everything wiped down. We got all of our studs in. We have them torqued down. This is our gasket. And then what I think I'm going to do is put just a tiny dab of silicone around this thing. Or not silicone, gasket maker rather. That's what we're going to do. So throw one of these gloves on. And then we have a little bit of this gear oil gasket maker. Brandy new one. Pop that. And then I'm just going to put a little on my finger. See which way this goes again. Yep, just like that. Let's see here. I think we're going to do this over on the bench. Shop's a little bit of a mess right now. Make sure there's nothing on here. Now I'll take this and put some dabs on here. So I'm just going to keep smearing this all the way around. Like I said, you don't need to do this. I know I'm going to get it in the comments. Some people like to use lube locker, some people don't. Some people say they always leak. Some people do what I'm doing. And just because I'm not going to be driving this thing until probably this fall, if everything goes well. Doing a full frame off build at night and on weekends by yourself, it's a tall order for knocking out in 6 months. So we only started this thing in, what was it, middle of January? Something like that. So I'm really happy with the steady progress we've made. So we're going to keep trying to just keep plugging away. We have been. Excellent. All right. Now, one of the main reasons I want to put the gasket maker on is it's going to be sitting for a while, but also, get on there. Got something stuck to it. Get off of there. This goes this way. So perfect. Is right around the bolts. I like having a little extra there just in case anything seeps through the threads, and the lube blocker gasket has its own material on it, but just having a little bit of extra something there, I like that. It's all personal preference. It's not hurting nothing either way. So I'm just going to put a little dab around the bolts, and I'm not going to do the whole top of the gasket, just a tiny bit around the bolts, and then we're going to be good to go with the third member. I got to get this shop cleaned up. Been neglected with everything I have going on here. Once we get this thing a rolling chassis, we're going to start working on the bed and the cab, and that's going to be an interesting one because I definitely want to pull some metal out of the bed, and I want to try flaring the bed sides a little bit, the factory bed sides. I want to see if I can cut the inner tub out and flare them, like maybe get 1.5 inches out of them. I'd really love to run a 12-inch wide wheel on this truck with the factory frame rails. I just don't know if it's feasible yet. It might not be a doable thing. I haven't seen anybody do that with a leaf spring setup yet, at least not that I've found. Cap back on this because this stuff is not cheap, and I don't feel like buying another one when I need it. So this can go. All right. Garbage. I'm gonna do the same thing real quick. I'm just gonna blow this third member off like that. Put this over here. And then where'd my rag go? Here it is. Find a clean spot on this rag. And then I'm just gonna spray some brake clean on this, soak this real good. And what we'll do is wipe down this thing. Get any of the grease and oil off the face of it. Any little dust and particles and all that good stuff from shipping. That's done. Now we should be able to go plop this thing in. This can be a bear sometimes. So one thing I think I want to do, let's see if I can do this. Just dropping it in. Not bad. It's just about there. There's my little mallet. We should be able to just knock this down on there. Why are you fighting me? Why, I say, why? I don't know why it's fighting me, but I don't like it. Keep going. All right, we got that on there, so we're gonna drop all our washers on here, way around, almost down all the way, not 100%, but pretty close. And we'll get all these nuts on there. Battery died. I actually saw it this time, so you didn't lose any footage. So we're just gonna put all these nuts on there, and then we're just gonna start snugging them up in a crisscross pattern, which will pull the member down to the housing where it needs to be. And then the only thing I don't know off the top of my head is the torque specs, so I gotta check the torque specs for this. Got the wrong size here. Let's see here. I'll be right back. That's better. We're not snugging them up yet. I gotta look up the torque specs for this, then we'll break out the torque wrench. That all snugged up, then we can start working on the seals for the axle shafts, and then figure out how to get those axles in there nicely. Not too sure how I'm gonna get my socket in here on this one. That's a pain in the butt. I can't get in on either one of those. Let me see, maybe I can get a wrench in on it. That works. Little 7/16 flexible ratchet wrench. Right on there. All right, those are all snugged down. Let's get the torque wrench. I gotta look up the torque specs. I will bring you guys back in a second. All right, looks like 35 foot-pounds, some go to 40. So I think what I'm gonna do is torque all these to 35 foot-pounds, and then we're just gonna let it sit for a little bit. Before it goes in the truck, I'll probably set it to 38 and re-torque it one more time. You can come over here. We're not at 35 yet, just gonna get these things seated down where they needed to be. That one's 35. Come over here. That one's 35. I'm gonna come over here. Come on, come back to this guy. 35. Over to this one. Over here. Good. And this one should be good. Yep. Now, Unfortunately, I can't get impact down into these guys, but being that this one already torqued down, that's pretty close. I'm just gonna use the wrench, go by feel, and just crank on this thing down. Let's see, what's this one feel like? Definitely gotta get these a little tighter. All right, that's good for the initial torque. So that is set in place. Now, I think I'm gonna do next is get these inner seals put in. And I wasn't sure about these, so I had to call my buddy up and just confirm. But there's a little spring in here, and basically that goes into the third member. So this flat section, see that side has this concave to it, and springs in there. This goes to the inside, this flat side goes to the outside. I wasn't sure of that, I had to ask, now I'm telling you. So these will just get tapped in there. I am going to use this socket. I had one that was a little bit smaller, but I found this guy. This is 1 3/4 inches. And as you can see, it's almost the exact size. You don't have to buy a special tool for this. This will work fine. We'll set this in here quick. Just get it centered and roughly where it needs to be, like that. And put that socket in there. All right, there she goes. It should pretty much bottom out in there. Perfect. Got that all set in there nice. And we'll do the other side. Beautiful. All right, we got those in. So now I'm contemplating, I don't know if I should put just a little RTV around that, around this bearing on the axle. It seals up really good. I don't think it can hurt anything. I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna put a little bit of this in here. I've seen people do that this way, and I've seen a lot of people not do it this way. So I don't see how it can hurt anything personally. So I'm gonna do it. And if it doesn't work, then we know not to do it next time. Do not what I do, because I don't know what I'm doing. But hey, if it works, great. I just don't see how this could be a bad thing. I might be wrong. This might be a very bad thing. Hopefully not. And I have a glove sitting right here, and for whatever reason, I didn't put it on. So now I have specialized gear oil gasket maker all over my fingers. Let's get that cleaned up. And the last thing is, on those axle seals, there's a little rubber inner part that the actual shaft slides through. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this grease and lube up that gasket there. A little bit of grease, this way the axle slides in there nice. Make sure you don't get this stuff in the axle housing so it doesn't mix with your gear oil and stuff. Just a little bit on that lip of the boot and you should be good to go. Now this guy should slide right in there. So like that. Wow, that was way easier than I expected. That's awesome. So I'm gonna pull it out just a fuzz, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of this moly grease right on this O-ring here. Use gear oil for this, but this moly graph grease, it's high pressure stuff, works pretty good for O-rings and whatnot. All right, now I can push this back in, and then we're gonna take our backing plates. So we are running TBMs on this, and I want my calipers facing forwards. Yes, I want my calipers facing forwards. So that should go right on there like that, right? Yes, that should go like that. And we've got a bag of bolts here, which I believe are the correct ones for this. Got a lot of parts on the table. And then this, we're gonna have to go with the bolt through the face like that. Actually, I'm gonna put a washer on that. Okay, there's two, bottom one. Now it's down. Now just gonna go back and forth in a cross pattern here. That one's snug and that one's snug. Still feel like that axle could go in a little bit more. Nope, that's it. It turns. So I'll get this other one on. Now on these flanges too, you'll see here, these are for TBM brakes, but most of them are the same. You have this little lip in here, and that goes towards the axle. actually catches that outside bearing in this groove, and that's what locks that axle right in there. So we'll get this other side on. Let's see here. That all done, that's greased. So we can slide this axle shaft in place like that. Beautiful. Now, same thing. This slides over. Oh, don't drop it. This is not what we want to do. That goes just like that. Perfect. Getting closer, she's almost there. Finally starting to get warmer next week. I can't wait for that. It's supposed to get up to 70 degrees, I think they're saying, which, man, that is certainly welcome. Now, I mentioned it earlier, well, at least I think I did, but the end of the month, we're supposed to be going strip to do some test passes before our April race down in North Carolina, which is streetcar bragging rights. So I'm really hoping everything goes good with Kong, my Trailblazer. It's been an uphill battle with that thing. You always want a little bit more power, and more power comes more problems, and it's just been always something. Every time we try to get a little more out of it, it kicks back, and then I had a problem with the engine that I bought from a company that's very well known, so we won't go there. But I'm definitely looking forward to getting on the track with that thing. Definitely looking forward to that. So hopefully we'll have some track content for you guys soon. Once the weather starts getting nicer, we'll be doing all kinds of cool stuff outside. All right, that one's snugged up. Let's see here. That one's snugged up. Last one here. That one's good. And last but not least, get on there. Come on. All right. I'm gonna give it a couple taps with the hammer anyway. Make sure that's seated all the way. Well, everything looks good. It's not grinding, it's not binding, not making any noises. So I think we're good. I gotta check the torque specs on those 4 bolts for the brake flange and torque those down. All right, they say it's 45 foot-pounds for standard applications and then 50 to 70 for heavy-duty applications. So I'm just gonna do 50, and we can always revisit that later if it needs to be more. And there's 50. Oh, wrong socket. Hopefully I can torque this down without, oh, that's what I was worried about. All right, we'll let that hang. Almost dropped it right on the freaking forearm, that hurt. Roll this back up, there we go. Do this in a crisscross pattern. This is where having a friend comes in handy. Now, we'll spin this up over here. That's that one, and then one more. All right, that's that side. Now this side, come on. This one's gonna be more difficult. How am I gonna do this? Let's see here. I gotta come up with a better plan so I don't drop this axle. Let's see here. Pick this up, set that flange on there. Now maybe it'll hold itself. I don't wanna drop it off my stand here. I didn't really wanna drop my torque wrench either, but I'd rather drop that than the axle. Not liking it. Let's see. What am I gonna do here? Oh, here we go. This might work. Put this across here. Perfect, that works. That's one. Go all the way around to the diagonally opposite side. That's that one. And we'll bring it back up. You gotta get creative when you're working by yourself. I don't know, can you guys even see me, or I told you to leave you out of the picture? Hi, welcome back. That's the third one's torqued down. Now we'll just go around to get the last one. Right there is good, I think. Come back a little bit. There it is. That is all torqued down. Beautiful. Let's see here. And what we're gonna do is just put a little dot on each one of these third member caps so that we remember it's been torqued down. This way, later on, when we get back to this to put fluid in it, we know and remember that we did this. I'm also gonna mark these 4 caliper retainer brackets, axle retainer brackets, whatever you want to call them. So that's those here. Like I said, I oriented these. I think I want the calipers pointing forwards because the shocks are coming down right in the back of this axle, and there is adjusters on there. and I really don't want brake calipers to interfere or be in the way at all of the shocks. I'm not sure if they even would be, but this is how we'll set it up for now. Those are really easy to swap out later if we do want to flip the rotors to the calipers to the back side of the axle instead of the front side. But for now, this is how we're going to leave it. So we got our retainer bolts torqued and marked. They got lock nuts on them. We have the third member bolts all in and torqued. This third member came from Quick Performance, fully assembled already, so pinions already been adjusted. These have all been torqued. I think that's everything. Cool. Bringing you guys in on this thing. So this is our final product. This is a Funkhauser Race Cars Ford 9-inch rear for the S10. He pre-bent the brake lines for me with -3AN fittings. We have Strange 35 spline axle, or rather Quick Performance 35 spline axles in here. We have Quick Performance aluminum third member with 370 gears and a spool. Got the upgraded yoke. As you can see, everything's good in here. We're not putting fluid in this thing yet, but what a beautiful piece. I'm so excited for this. Flip that guy's over. Look at how nice that thing is. Billet cap. Got the drains on the bottom too, so that's in there. And he's got this piece here, which is all integrated as part of the roll bar setup. That's going to be going in this. The anti-roll bar and all the other suspension bits. So this is everything for the rear end. Here's the end links for the anti-roll bar. Here's the brackets for the anti-roll bar. These are his own, similar to Caltrax, but this is the ones he makes for his kit. So I'm pumped. This is coming along nicely. We have the whole front suspension over here, ready to go back in. Steering rack's ready to go. Next, we're gonna be working on, well, we're gonna get this thing a roller first. Once we get that thing a roller, we're gonna start working on this. I wanna do a bunch of cutting in this bed to lighten it up. And then we got some patchwork to do on the firewall, filler plates to make, and some other things to touch up. We gotta get rid of all the gasket maker from the old back window and windshield. But I'll send this video off with the frame. Much happier with this coat of paint. As you can see, it's not gray anymore. Just a nice high gloss. Nice that looks. Pretty happy with how I got these all smoothed out. That was all that welding we had to do in there, and I just ground it all smooth. Came out really nice. Here's the filler plates we made and welded in. 417 Motorsports tubular front end, all in place. So that's it for today. That's this week's video in a nutshell. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I was really hoping to have the suspension bolted in the front of this thing for you guys to see and even start working on the back, but things happen. I wasn't really happy with that first coat of paint we did, that two-part chassis paint. It had like grayish tinge. I really wasn't happy. So now I'm happy. The third coat of paint ain't gonna hurt nothing. It's still a heavy-duty chassis paint, but it actually dried a nice gloss black, so I'm pumped. Anyways, next video. You guys liking what you see? Next video, we will have the whole front suspension in this thing, and we will do the whole rear suspension. 100%. Axle's gonna go in. Axle will go in. Get this thing all basically set up. And we'll see how far we get. If I get it all taken care of this week, then maybe we'll start working on the brakes too, because we have TBMs going on the front and the rear. We got the single piston lightweight brakes for the front, and we got their dual piston, I believe they're called the F3s, F3 4 piston set up for the rear. And then we got the lightweight F1s for the front. So I don't really know what else to say. Thanks for watching. Remember guys, nothing stays stock. I am out.